Let me present. We'll start. Okay. Yeah, today we have 2 items in the agenda. First one is VM provisioning for on-prem and unmanaged, proposed by Konstantin. Would like discussion around the 3 proposals, all in this space. Okay, 3 proposals. Which one should be pursued, or which combination of them? So I assume those are within the same doc, right?
To clarify, there are 3 docs that all talk about how to sort of give an identity to a virtual machine that is not part of the mesh. Costin's is new. There were already an existing 2 written. So from my perspective, I would like to know which of these solutions that all do something very similar should be pursued, or which combination.
Instead of opening 3 docs, which is not very convenient, can you describe those 3 files, like what are they are proposing briefly?
Yeah, just to clarify, the last doc, I think, which is authored by Sven, should be merged with the second doc, because the last doc is not really proposing any provisioning flow. But instead, so the second doc, which Sven and I authored, so we listed 3 options. It's presented last time.
Yeah.
And the costing stock is new. Maybe we should let costing to go first.
Yeah, if you can present, it's a very simple proposal, so should not take too much time. I also mentioned in the document, one of the comments was asking about the other doc. Last time when it was reviewed, it was clear that the doc is specific to virtual machines that are running in a cloud, like GCP or AWS, where you have access to metadata server. And B, it depends on API server being able to, first of all, to be reached, and second, to authenticate the token. And this doc is solving the problem for the rest of the world, where you have VMs that are not on a cloud, or the API server is either not reachable, or it doesn't have configuration to authenticate AWS, GCP, and the other tokens. So I think they are complementary. It is true that this document could also be used for clouds, but my primary goal with this document is to solve the remaining of the problem, because I don't know how the other document will be implemented or when it will be ready, but this is super easy to implement and can be, even backported to 1.6. And the actual design is based on what we had in the past. I mean, the ECOD is already authenticating the caller, the person who is requesting signing CSR. And the proposal is just to add an annotation or a mesh config option to say that a particular identity is allowed to issue certificates or to sign certificates for the particular service account. So if you have a service account product page in the booking for namespace, you specify that Costin@gmail.com is authorized, or Costin@github.com is authorized to issue certificates for this identity by specifying a mapping between the 2, either by putting an annotation in the service account or by putting something in mesh config. And then my CI/CD system in GitHub will provision a VM, will get a certificate from ECOD, will deploy the certificate on the VM, and we have a trace, because ECOD will know exactly what certificates are issued, compared with the current solution where you get the root CA, do whatever it wants, you don't know what the CA used for. And second, it works everywhere. You can integrate it with CI/CD systems. You can have user manually doing using their own identity. And then you know that Costin@gmail.com is the one that created this VM, and you have all kinds of other options that become possible. And that's it. The change is really just what a hash map that maps admins to what service accounts they are allowed to provision. And the most controversial part of the proposal maybe is to have a naming pattern to say that istio-admin at namespace is automatically authorized to issue certificates in that namespace. So we can have, if I'm admin of Bookinfo namespace, I can get a certificate or token or OpenID Connect for that particular istio-admin at Bookinfo. And then this account could automatically, without extra configuration and headaches, just configure any workload with the same Bookinfo namespace. That's it, simple and easy.
So, Costin, if you are done, and I do have some comments.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel that this proposal basically put the mesh admin in the loop, right? Essentially, whatever mesh admin is doing is currently what we try to ask Istio agents to do. So basically, this with this proposal, mesh admin is going to get certificate from IstioD and then provision to the VMs. Basically,
not the mesh admin.
Right?
Sorry, the namespace admin, not the mesh admin.
Yeah. So basically, it's the operator. Yeah.
So the operator of the namespace. It's a big difference between the operator of the mesh and the operator of the namespace. In many cases, Helm and other tools make a distinction between someone who has full control over the entire cluster and the entire mesh versus someone who's only controlling a namespace.
Yeah. So essentially, we are replacing Istio agent functionality with the operator, right? Operator is doing all the work, and the Istio agent is not doing anything.
We are not replacing. There is no operator. The operator is just the person who is deploying the VM, the person who is setting up a VM, installing IstioD on the VM, installing the configuration. I mean that haven't changed and is not proposing to change. I mean there is someone who's provisioning the VM. In the common case where you have a VM provision on-prem, you create the VM, you install the certificate that operator is creating, and after that, the agent continues to do a refresh and continues to do everything that it was doing before.
Yeah, but the VM already gets its certificate that contains its mesh ID. So basically, we do not need a provisioning certificate for the VM anymore. Basically, that's
with this proposal or what? This proposal, yes, it's when you create the VM, you put this certificate on the VM, and then you don't need to do anything else.
Yeah. So that's why I said basically for the VM, Istio agent is not useful for provisioning certificate.
Not a provision, for VMs that are on-prem that don't have, for VMs that are in cloud, Istio agent can be used with this proposal, exactly like in your proposal, but with IstioD doing the exchange. So if you are on AWS, you can configure that user at AWS is authorized to create certificates for Bookinfo.com, and then IstioD will exchange without any intervention of the operator, because you can authenticate AWS.
Yeah, my preference is actually separate the Bootstrap certificate versus the certificate that actually contains the VM's identity. So for on-prem VM, you can bootstrap this VM with some Bootstrap certificate, but it's not signed by IstioD. You can sign by any like offline signer. So, but we can configure Istio agent to based on this Bootstrap credential, and then get the mesh certificate.
If you have a proposal for this, but it looks like it's additional steps. I mean, it seems that this proposal, it's simple enough that can be implemented quickly, and it's simpler than what you're proposing because we don't involve any other authority, any other certificate, any other steps. It's just admin specifies who's allowed to just get the certificate, and that's it. I mean, I'm not sure why would we complicate it.
Yeah, but basically the authorization, can this VM get this identity is actually, there are several sources of truth, right? In this proposal, it's mesh config is the source of truth. You are saying this operator has all the permission to provision identity for all these VMs.
I'm not, so I was saying that either the mesh admin or the namespace admin can specify this. In reality, for VMs, there is always some tool that is deploying the VM. They don't exist, they need to be provisioned. So whoever is provisioning the VM and installs, whatever application you're running, MySQL, and install Istio proxy, is also the person that is root on the VM and can or should create the provisioning certificate, because the same admin will also deploy the MySQL credentials, will do a lot of other deployments for that VM. It doesn't seem out of sync to also deploy the provision the Istio part of it.
Yeah, so if we want to go this route, basically for on-prem VM, we are saying this is basically the operator is doing all the job. We don't need the Istio agent and the Citadel in the loop, right? For certificate provisioning. Yeah, Citadel is ISOD is in the
ISOD is the part, yes.
Yeah, it's initial by the operator. Yeah.
Yes.
But for
and Istio agent it's in the part because Istio agent is the one that will take the provisioning certificate and exchange it and rotate it. So both of them are in the part. I'm not proposing to remove any of them.
Yeah.
You need to rotate the certificate every hour.
Yeah, I think this will work. I just my concern is we are basically separating the on-prem VM flow with the other cloud VM flow, and
we don't have to separate them. I mean, this proposal works for VMs as well. I mean, I just want to make sure that the primary goal of this proposal is to close the gap on the other proposal. If we choose to use this proposal for both, I'm happy. I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
No, then basically we are overwriting the current identity provisioning architecture, right? The entire flow is being not used anymore. Basically, the operator is doing all the work, and all the VM get certificate, all the pods get certificate from the beginning. At the time they were deployed.
That's consistent with the architecture that we had from the beginning of time. Really.
Yeah, and there's no refresh, right?
Refresh, yes, of course there is refresh. No, refresh is Istio agent as before.
But why do you need a refresh? The certificate is long-lived.
It doesn't have, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be long-lived, and we can create. There are two should probably put more comments there. One purpose is to refresh it, obviously, to be consistent with what we are doing in the mesh. The other reason there is a proposal in the security working group to add additional information to the certificate, like labels, IP address of the machine, and make it kind of more richer to have that. If we do that, then this can be done at refresh time.
Yeah, in order to refresh, you also need some authorization rules to allow this refresh. So
yeah,
so basically we are putting two kinds of rules. One is in mesh config, you're allowing the operator to do something, and the other rule you're putting in Citadel or Istio or somewhere, right? You're allowing the refresh.
That's already in place. I mean, it has been there from 0.1 or 0.2 when we launched VMs. So when we launched VM in 0.2, the agent and Citadel were doing the refresh.
No, I actually believe with today's implementation, like today's VM of whatever implemented today, it's actually we are using the long-lived Bootstrap token, Bootstrap certificate, and whenever the certificate is there, we do not.
I implemented it. I'm sure it is. I implemented it, and I think I tested it as well. And probably we still have tests for the rotation.
I feel today their rotation happens when you authenticate to IstioD, you use their previous certificate that is going to expire to authenticate to IstioD, and then you exchange for a new certificate.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a good way compared with using like AWS instance stock or GCP service account token to do the rotation, which is more aligned with using like Kubernetes service account JAWT to do their rotation. Because if your certificate is your private key, for example, if your private key is leaked to some malicious user, that malicious user can use the private key to further refresh his certificate, and that is not secure, right? So I would.
I'm perfectly happy it's on AWS, for example, because on AWS, according to this proposal, you have a policy specifying that AWS token can be used for issue certificate. So if you are not on-prem and you do have a metadata server, perfectly fine. I mean, this proposal is perfectly compatible with what you are saying. A user has a choice if they trust the metadata server more than they trust the private key. Technically, they're equivalent because if someone gets your private key, first of all, that's going to expire in an hour, and it has the same validity with the token. And if they got your private key, they can also get the token. And it's far more likely that the token will be leaked because it's sent over the wire. The private key is not sent over the wire. So always between a token and a private key, the private key is more secure.
Yeah. So regarding refresh, if you just send a certificate that's going to be expired and you issue a new one, basically extend the lifetime of the certificate. But there must be some rules control that, right? There must be some authorization to authorize this extend the lifetime. Otherwise, there's no difference compared to a long-lived certificate. You can always extend it forever.
You can still get some benefit, right? By rotating the root certificate, you can reduce the exposure of a single root certificate, single private key, like more times, which could be like, could be decrypted or like using some technique. You can, malicious user can decrypt that.
But this refresh has been reviewed, approved, it's shipped, it's been around from 0.2. I don't think it's, I mean, this document is not trying to reopen the particular design. If things that we need to improve the refresh, we can create a separate document how to improve the refresh, but I think that's a settled matter.
Yeah, I would say, if you are saying the private key is more secure than the token, I think, in concept that is, but also in concept, because you are using the token to bootstrap the private key, then that means the token shouldn't be more less secure than the private key. Otherwise, you can't use it to bootstrap. Right?
I don't disagree with you. There was a discussion about the Kubernetes API, the Kubernetes token, and the
what I'm saying here is, even though the reality is, yes, the token in most cases are less secure than the private key, but maybe in the future, the token is more secure. I don't know how, but in theory, we should. I think it makes sense to implement in the correct way. Like
by the way,
always use token.
Why is the private key a private key? Does the user also generate a private key? And because Istio18 today actually generate. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's actually very
locally generated private key, and you always send the CSR along with the whatever token or mutual TLS as the authentication method to do the token exchange.
Right. Yeah. So if the operator is actually generating private key, then basically send it through a wire. That's actually very concerning, right?
No, the operator doesn't do that, right?
No, in the proposal here, I mean.
Yes. Does the operator generate the private key and put that into their VM?
The operator can do whatever they want. I mean, they can generate the VM generate the private key on the VM by running SSH, OpenSSL, whatever, typically TPM, whatever. The operator will get a CSR to whatever tooling they're using, Ansible or whatever tooling they use to provision the VM, and the CSR will be sent to Istio.
So that's the same as today. Today the operator does that.
Not much difference.
Today we are taking TPM. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I thought you use their, for example, their token, available on their cloud provider platform to authenticate. I think that's more secure than just relying on CI/CD or the operator to do that.
So remember, this document is for VMs that don't have tokens. If they have tokens, they can use the tokens. They have absolutely no position if you have AWS to use the tokens to provision initially, and it definitely is easier. But the proposal is first to solve the problem for cases which cannot be solved by token because you're on-prem or in other cases. And second, it gives another alternative for people who are on cloud, because if use the same mechanism to deploy their VMs in multiple clouds and in multiple and on-prem, it may be better to have a consistent way to deploy instead of having, hey, for this one I use this, for this one I use the other. But they are free to use whatever they choose. This just gives them a consistent way to do it.
There's a proposal. This might be a little bit long-term. There's a solution in SPIFFE world, right? They use a one-time Bootstrap token instead of a certificate. That can prevent like some attacking vectors, like when you this manual step of provisioning the certificate and put that into the VM. It's vulnerable. If someone gets the certificate, they can use it anytime. If you use a one-time token, then that will expire within a time or within like after the first of use. That could be more secure.
Yeah, actually,
that's a very good point. And I wanted to put it in the document, but I left it out. The other way to use this mechanism is you get this provisioning token as a VM, and at startup you exchange it immediately. So use it basically as a Bootstrap token. Use a certificate as a Bootstrap certificate. I think that's the technique used in Android in some cases. The certificate that the operator is going to put on a VM is not going to be used for workload to workload. It's just going to be used for the first time when it gets the first refresh token. And that also solves the problem of putting labels into to make sure that always we have the labels and IP and all the other information we want in the certificate.
Yeah, but the Bootstrap token needs to set some like permanent property on the VM. Otherwise, next time when we need to refresh the certificate, we need some property from the VM.
Bootstrap token is a one-time use only. So basically, this provisioning certificate, again, token versus certificate is not a big difference. I mean, my proposal is to use certificates because we have all the infrastructure, no need to write extra code. We already can create certificates however we want, and we can put a short expiration time and make sure that it's kind of only usable for getting the real certificate. I think it's reasonable to do it. I'll add it to the doc.
So Li-Ming, are you okay with this?
I think for the current proposal, we do see there are a lot of security concern on that, right? Because the operator is actually provisioning the private key and manually copy or through some tool, basically copy it to the VMs.
Correct? No, that's not the case. That's not the case, Dean. I think I explained. The operator can create a CSR and private key on the VM itself with the tool there. So someone is working on Istio-Kattle's automation. The automation can go to the VM, use TPM or whatever it's on the VM to generate the private key, and just the CSR is leaving the VM. So that's I'll put a step-by-step to make sure that it's clear that in this use case, the private key can be only on the VM and never leave it.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm still not clear the benefit of using operator instead of Istio agent.
It's not operator. What do you mean by operator? I mean, operator
the user, right? You mentioned the user.
Yeah, the user could. Well, it's not. It's again because that's how VMs are provisioned. It's provisioned by a tool or by some admin. That's how VMs are created. It's someone who's creating VM.
Yeah.
Istio agent doesn't have. There is nothing else. I mean, the only thing operator can do is to install Istio and put stuff on the VM.
Yeah.
There is nothing else on the VM that will permit this to happen.
Yeah, I think it's okay for the admin to put some Bootstrap credential to the VM. That part is okay. But going for after that, the Istio agent should take in place and should continue to do the auto provisioning. Yeah, for the certificate.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's what we said earlier. The Oliver idea. I'm happy to change this to make sure that the provision token can only be used for getting. I mean, Istio agent will exchange it for a real token. That's reasonable.
Yeah. So once the on-prem VM gets the Bootstrap gets the Bootstrap credential, so it's then it's the same as the cloud VM, which we propose in the other proposal. I think after that the flow should be the same.
But there is no API server involved. There is no tokens for metadata server. It's just this provision token.
Yeah, actually we listed the three options. The the first two are using Kubernetes API server, but the last one is not.
Okay.
Yeah, if we want to discuss that, that's fine too. Yeah, I was also debating with Sven on which option to go with, but my current preference is to choose the one not dependent on API server. Yeah, if
yeah, so I'll have the information with the explanation how to use this document to use, for example, a TPM or hardware token to make sure that it's guaranteed that the private key is protected and stays with the VM,
mm-hmm.
And how to use it properly. And I think that will probably clarify this confusion, because again, the main one benefits of a certificate is that it can be used with hardware and to make sure that it never leaves. I mean, tokens can be easily copied over, but the private key can be protected so it never leaves the VM.
Yeah.
So I'll add it to the document.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, for example, if the VM is using HSM, is this still feasible?
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of one of the design goals here. Enable use of
So one of the solution, just thinking aloud here, is have the VM always generate the private key when you are bootstrapping. And then after it generates a key pair, it exposes the public key or the CSR into a like VM path. And then your CI/CD system just grab that CSR or public key from that path and do a call to their ESTD to provision a certificate manually, right?
Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put this complexity because I wanted to keep it simple and not confuse people with HSM and the rest. But and we cannot force them to use it. Of course, if you don't have an HSM, there's nothing you can do. But that's a model.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So another suggestion is maybe costing. Probably you can have your doc to focus more on the bootstrap part, and maybe change the title to focus on the on-prem VM bootstrapping process.
This proposal is to change this TOD to enable this bootstrapping of VMs, and then we can choose to extend it to network to clouds or not. But I mean, it will work for both. But if there is a simpler solution for the other use case, I'm sure users will use it. And it doesn't, mean that on-prem should not use this solution.
Yeah, I think we do need a story to bootstrap the VM's on-prem VM's identity. I think the other doc, Sven and I have, we actually want to focus on the case that the VM already has some existing identity. So in the on-prem case, it already has the bootstrap credential. Then after that, how the provisioning flow should look like. Then we are complementary, right? We are not conflicting with each other.
Well, we are slightly because, again, this solution works for both cases. But again, if the other option is simpler and easier to use, then probably, again, people will use this only for VMs and will use the other. I don't know if it's worth duplicating, but it's your choice. I'm not opposed to other solutions in addition to this one.
No, so I think the two flow can be combined. Basically, you can focus on the bootstrapping part, and after that, we should let Istio agent and Citadel take in place and do the continual bootstrapping, not bootstrapping, provision the certificate with the mesh identity for the VM.
My immediate goals is to make sure that we have as soon as possible a solution for the VMs that don't involve copying the root privacy of the CA. Because right now, what people are doing is atrocious. They are taking the private key of the CA itself, move it to a computer of some user, and then they use it to sign stuff. I mean, that's really, really, really bad. I cannot imagine anything worse in terms of.
I feel that we should have a good story. Then we can talk about what's the a short-term implementation, what's the long-term one.
Yeah,
and what I'm proposing, it's super easy to implement quickly.
I would also agree.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I would also agree that we should just have an idea of where we're going for the rest of the proposal. I don't think we need to work out the short term, long term right now, but just having an idea of where we want to go would be incredibly useful.
Yeah. So do we want to briefly review again the proposal we shared last time about VM provisioning?
Which proposal? Your proposal?
Yeah, I think it's also listed there, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. Does everyone want to think this is a good idea? How much time does it take?
Or I can just can you bring up the talk? I can just briefly explain. It may take 5 minutes.
Sure.
Unless there are a lot of discussion actually, around it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Which one? The second one?
The second one,
It should be the second one, yes.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Just tell me where you want to focus.
Just go to the flow pictures. Basically, I listed 3 options.
Okay, this one.
Yeah. So the first one is what we originally proposed in the last meeting. So the idea is to have for all the options, the assumption is the VM already has some existing credential. So the VM could be a cloud VM, could be a GCE VM or AWS VM, or some other cloud VM, or some on-prem VM which already has Bootstrap credential. So the idea is the Istio agent will actually send the existing VM credential to Kubernetes API server, then get back Kubernetes George token. And then after that, it's basically today's flow. We can use the Kubernetes George token to send the CSR to Citadel and get back the certificate. Can you go to the second flow? Option 2.
This is the one, right?
Yeah. So some feedback from the last meeting was that sometimes the VM do not have access to API server. For example, the API server is probably AWS hosted API server or GKE API server. Actually, in the GKE case, it's fine. But so there are some cases VM do not have direct access, have access to the API server itself. So the proposal is to have Istio-D as the intermediate agent. So basically, Istio agent will send the CSR to Istio-D. And the Istio-D is going to send a request to Kubernetes API server along with the VM credential and asking, can I exchange this VM credential for a Kubernetes George token? And if API server allows the request, basically API server will look at the Kubernetes RBAC. And if API server allows the request, and it will return a Kubernetes George token. And then Istio-D can based on the Kubernetes George token, issue the certificate and return it to Istio agent.
What is the point of this exchange? I mean, the Citadel already authenticated the VM. Why is it calling Kubernetes API server just to check the RBAC? I mean, because we choose to use RBAC and we must, I mean, is there a reason to use RBAC in the first place? My proposal is very similar with this, except that it's using, an allocational service account.
Yeah. Let me go through option 3. Okay, costing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the advantage of this, is we can use RBAC to authorize, and still use Kubernetes George token to bootstrap all the remaining steps. However, my current concern is we currently have all the like SDS logic in Istio agent, and we have all other like SDS and plugins. So like in Istio agent, with this proposal, we actually need to move all the logic to Istio-D instead. So Istio-D, so for the Kubernetes case, the Kubernetes George is actually on Istio agent. But with this proposal, Kubernetes George will only be available on Istio-D. Then all the existing logic on Istio agent will have to be replicated on EasyOD, which is not, which is the reason I did not want to go with this route. And I also feel that the dependency on Kubernetes API server just doing the authorization is not ideal. So
I'm not sure.
Let's go to the third option.
Which one? This is the third option.
Yeah, this is the third option. So the third option is we will have EasyOD to do both authentication of the VM credential and also do the authorization. So EasyOD we will provide an identity mapping rule saying that this VM credential can be mapped to a mesh identity based on this rule. So the admin will define such rule and provision it on EasyOD. And based on this rule, EasyOD can decide which mesh identity to provision and return the certificate back to Istio agent. So this is actually the most simplified flow. Yeah, I think Sven did add some cons, but I do not completely agree with him. But yeah, so this is the current, my preference would going forward, we can implement this and create an identity mapping rule on EasyOD.
It's identical with my proposal, basically.
Yeah, I think this is aligned with your proposal too. So yeah, I think we are aligned on this side, but I'm not sure Sven is totally agree, but yeah.
Okay, so any objection to moving to option 3 and basically have the same implementation for both of them? Because in reality, both proposals can be implemented very easily by just, using the existing annotation and service accounts and probably 20 lines of code in the authentication path. So we can get it even in 1.5 or 1.6.
Yeah, I think the identity mapping rule may need some time to define and yeah.
Oh, the full API, yes, but annotation is already there.
We can probably start with some simple rule. Yeah. But at least we need to agree this is the direction to go. I wish Sven is also here, so he's aligned with the discussion.
Well, if we approve the other document, then we can implement it, and then it will just work for this one as well. I mean, it's not necessarily that we have to implement it at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you solve the on-prem, we can spend it later with support for credential section and the other stuff.
Yeah. If we agree on this proposal, then we don't have any disagreement. Basically, it's the same thing.
Can I ask a quick question? So in this proposal, you said Istio agent sends a certificate signing request to IstioD attaching VM identity token. Where does that identity token come from?
So in the cloud VM case, like GCE VM will get its token from GCE metadata server, and the AWS VM will get it from AWS metadata server. And on-prem VM currently, Costin was just discussing how to provision a bootstrap credential to the VM.
Okay, so and then how does the IstioD actually can recognize the identity token?
So IstioD will actually have to have some authentication mechanism implemented. So one possibility is that we can run Envoy in front of IstioD. The Envoy today already provides OIDC, like a JWT token authentication, and plus the mutual TLS, right? It can also authenticate the client certificate.
Yeah. If I can interject here a bit, first of all, we had contributions. I don't know what happened with them. I didn't find that code, but there was someone who contributed code to authenticate with AWS and with GCP. And more
code, yes, but we are not guaranteeing they are working. Yeah, it was.
Well, yeah. we can revise them. It's not a big deal. I mean, and also we have already in 1.5 even, or 1.5 even, we have ability to authenticate with OpenID Connect, meaning that if Citadel it gets a token that is compatible with the standard, the JWT standard, OpenID Connect, then it will work already. You just need to enable it. You need to specify which authority you are trusting, and then it will be automatically authenticated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the authentication shouldn't be that hard. It's just calling platform-specific libraries.
Yeah, or using the standard OIDC. Yes. And in reality, the flow, I mean, the actual code, it doesn't really matter if it's coming from a token that the VM got from metadata server, or it got it from whatever other meaning. It can be your, your personal account or anything else. As long as you have an identity from a trusted authority that Istio is checking, the flow is identical in my case and in this case. It's only GitHub that is getting this certificate, using its own certificate.
And that identity can be configured in a mesh config in your other document that was discussed.
Annotation, right now I'm kind of preferring annotation because it's already defined. We don't have to buy it. There is already an annotation for this purpose.
Okay, but it could be configured somewhere on the SUD on the right side. Yeah,
instead you need to specify I trust GitHub, or I trust AWS, or I trust GCP. That's it.
So if you are saying through, if you are saying through annotation, that annotation goes to the service account. Are you saying that?
Yeah, that means that you can immediately specify, hey, for this service account, who I trust. It's super easy and doesn't require high privileges or anything.
So Limin, does that align with your proposal?
Not annotation. Yeah, I would like to introduce a better identity mapping rule, basically. Map the claims to some identity.
Sure, but we can also start simple. I mean, we can have this annotation implemented quickly because it's already very easy to implement, and then we need more advanced control or wildcard or whatever. And again, we want the simplest solution that works.
Yeah, if you want to use annotation as some experimental effort, we can ship this faster. Then I'm okay with it. But eventually, I want to provide the proper rules, and the admin can actually control it.
Limin, Limin. So, is it true that every VM's identity must be a Kubernetes service account?
No, I actually don't think so. But yeah, but this part I think Sven has different opinion. So yeah, I'm trying to.
We need to resolve that. Okay.
We need to get consensus on that.
Got it. Okay. Okay, thanks. I think we can go back to the next one if we have done this. So the last one is really just an announcement. Deprecation of the file-based ingress gateway external cert management from 1.7. So in 1.6, we already removed the task of setting up the secure ingress gateway through file-based, but it's still supported in 1.6. But we are going to clean up the code and only do SDS, only support SDS. We're doing this for multiple reasons, right? For the first reason, it's the file mount has its significant drawback today, which is it requires a restart of the ingress gateway when their files are changed. So that's one thing. The other thing is ready for our maintenance. We need to maintain like 2 different implementations for the same, basically the same feature. That's the second consideration. And also the SDS is covering all the use cases of file mount. We will support. So SDS, we will first give a migration doc published on 1.6. If you are using file mount based approach, and we can just you can just follow up that that documentation, to migrate. And we might also implement some code to implicitly allow you to just migrate to SDS without any operation. I'm still investigating that. Yeah.
So one comment. I mean, what the real deprecation is that Envoy will always get configurations using SDS. So ingress gateway will always see an SDS configuration. It doesn't mean that we are going to require that ingress always run with secret RBAC permission in the namespace, or that namespace, that file-mounted secrets are going away, because there is a very important use case for that. What we're saying is that just like for regular workload to workload, SDS agent, ISTIO agent, will be able to load the files and present them to Envoy over SDS. So the configuration is consistent. We simplify the code path, and we don't have to watch and restart Envoy. But we must support file mounts, because in some cases you do not want to grant the ingress permission to read all the secrets from API server directly. You want to instead have a low permission ingress, because ingress is exposed to the internet, and actually mount the files with secret, which doesn't require elevated privilege.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's important distinction, because we made the same mistake with Helm, saying that we're deprecating Helm, when in reality it's just deprecating some old templates and replacing with Helm. So, and a lot of people got confused.
Well, are we even deprecating anything then? I mean, we're just,
no,
it's
we're
really an
still
implementation detail, right? Well, no, you guys are saying two different things, I think, because Costin's saying you can still use files and that we're just changing the internal implementation, but I don't think that's what you're saying, Oliver.
No, what I'm saying is currently if you specify an ingress gateway, the API, you have two ways, right? One way is to specify a file path. The other way is to specify a SDS read from secret, right? I think we might get rid of the first one. First API, no?
I don't think we want to. I mean, we will not specify the SDS, because SDS will always be present. The file mounts, obviously, we want to support them. Again, it's a use case that doesn't have other solution right now.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, how else? Otherwise, you can't do VMs.
There is an option. I mean, there is a way to do it, but it's not yet planned and designed. We can have ISTIO-D or some authority that is holding the certificates vault or whatever, and then use the workload identity of ingress to get certificates. But that's pretty complicated and probably not in scope for 1.7. But the important goal, I think, should be we should keep us a goal reducing the RBAC permissions that we grant to ingress, in particular, and to ISTIO-D and secondary. Because right now we have far too greater permissions and too dangerous permissions.
Okay. I get the point here.
I mean, I don't think we need to recommend it. Like, we don't need to have it in the core tasks that new users are going through. We can always recommend they use the secrets, but getting rid of it seems.
But still need to have a user guide.
Not to use secrets. I mean, best practice would be to have an ingress deployed without the broad permission. But again, I don't know if we should put it in, advanced users or best practice or whatever.
So
in any case, cleaning up the code is great. Sorry.
I'm sorry, it's super confusing, I have to say. So sounds like if I'm looking at from a user perspective, if I'm specifying the gateway resources using the file-based approach, it would continue to work in 1.6, but in 1.7, you will have to kind of migrate to the SDS way, because I believe the credentials are specified differently between the file-based with the SDS-based. Is that true?
No. So we just discussed that, right? Yeah.
So both will continue to work?
They will continue to work because file mount is still serving some scenarios that secret is not accessible from the ingress gateway. In that case, you still mount the secrets into their ingress gateway path. And the difference is previously the Envoy will directly read from file, but now we are not doing that. ISTIO agent will read from the file and serve that key and search through SDS to their ingress gateway Envoy. Does that make sense?
Okay, and is that change transparent for the user?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
It should be transparent for the user, but in 1.8, it may happen what Oliver suggested perfectly, because we do want to avoid all the overhead of maintaining and restarting and all this stuff. The problem is that we don't have yet an implementation where ISTIO-D or someone else is managing those secrets. So until when we have it, we can completely deprecate the mounting of secrets by the ingress.
I don't know. I mean, we always need the destination role one. right? Because the sidecars won't read from secrets. So if we already have to maintain that, then the gateway's not so much more to maintain, really.
Which one for destination rules?
Destination rule, you can do the same thing, right? You can.
Oh yeah, no. That will follow the same path, I suspect. I mean, if we find a way to have Istio.D manage the secrets, or someone Vault or someone else managing the secrets, then we can do it consistently for everything. No.
Oh, I see what you mean. So Istio.D reads a secret and sends it.
Yes. So you don't have to deal with secrets in the pods. You let Istio.D and then policy, and you have what or Vault. I mean, again, that's kind of the.
Okay, I changed the wording. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Application Ingress Gateway avoid directly reading file-based search.
There's another few hundred lines of code removed and clean up. So, yay.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. We still need the user guide, I think, in order for, but that one will be like not a default. Default still will be their SDS API, but the file mount API we can deprecate that. We will have it somewhere, and user can refer to it if they find out their ingress gateway pod cannot access the secret in the system. They can still use that way. Okay.
I think you briefly mentioned the deprecation. I think we need to deprecate the use of full paths in the gateway specification and in the destination specification, I suspect.
Say it again.
Because right now we have in the gateway API, in the beta network beta gateway, we have full paths. So we need a way to migrate them to that, because that's something we need to discuss and to figure out.
So I don't know if we merge support for reading those files and serving them over SDS, so they're rotated, which is not quite the same thing, but just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but we need
for destination rule.
Yeah, if users say /foo whatever, a fully qualified path, how do we map it to the SDS equivalent?
Yeah, we put the file path in the resource name, and then the SDS Istio agent understands that, reads the file, and
that
sends
works.
it back.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay. That's the agent. Agent will read the file. API is specifying a file path. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Is there any more questions? No? Okay. Then we are done today. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.